Well, hello, everybody. We are beginning a new set of devotions, if you will, in a series called Ask the Pastor. And this is an opportunity for you to send in your questions about faith, the Bible, theology, just general questions you have about religion. Some people have asked what I believe about certain things, and that's a good topic too. So send your questions in. The email address is on the bottom. It's on the bottom of the screen right now. So email the questions there, and we'll answer them accordingly. We'll do this a couple times a week. I don't want to overwhelm everybody or myself in doing this. The first question we're going to answer comes from Linda Harrison, and her question is about the possibility of a split in the United Methodist Church and what that means for the local churches. And so the easy answer to this is yes, the United Methodist Church is going to split. The hard answer to that is yes, the United Methodist Church is going to split. And I say it that way because you can really look back in the United Methodist history and go back to 1972 and say that we've been working towards a split since then, and that's 50 years. In 1972, the language in the Book of Discipline saying that the practice of homosexuality is incompatible with Christian teaching was added by an amendment, and since then that point has been argued in every general conference since. But it's come to a head recently, mostly in 2019 at our general conference. The delegates had options to look at for ways that we could stay together as the United Methodist Church, and they had things called like the One Church Plan or the Jurisdictional Plan or those types of things. And those were ways that each individual church or area could find a way to live together, even though theologically and spiritually and biblically we may look differently at these particular passages in our Bible. Well, none of that passed, and so it was voted on to remain exactly the same way that we are, and it was a close vote. It was only like 12 or 18 votes that made the difference. And so since then, things have just heated up. Protests have been made, petitions have been signed to do this all again. And so this led to what was going to be a general conference in 2020, which never happened because of COVID issues. And so things have been kind of put on the back burner. There is a proposal put out there for an amicable split of the churches, where one church can decide to break away from the United Methodist Church and join another denomination or go independent, whatever they choose. There is a movement out there called the Global Methodist Church, which has been forming for a couple of years now, and they are inviting churches to go with them. That would be a breakaway from the United Methodist Church, and it would be a more conservative branch, kind of keeping with the practices and everything that we have now in our discipline. How it affects us as a local church. First, we have to wait for a general conference, which is scheduled in August of 2022. And may or may not happen depending on COVID issues because it is a global meeting. And so there are visa issues, there are vaccination issues, there's this issues of whether a meeting of 1,500 people should gather and those sorts of things. So they're working on ways maybe to do some of it virtually and some not and all those things. So what we have to do is we have to wait for this proposal to pass or not, or to be amended or whatever. But what it means for us at Mickelson is really kind of simple. We need to decide what we want to do with this. We will have options. The first option is to do nothing. And what that will do is we will just go with what the conference votes. And I can tell you the Michigan Conference is a fairly progressive conference, and we will remain within the post-separation Methodist Church, which will be more progressive, which will allow for the ordination of LGBTQ community members and will allow the pastors to do same-sex marriages. Or we have the option to break away and join the Global Methodist movement or be independent. If you break away, you are allowed to take your property with you. That's a part of the deal. We don't know exactly where we stand on this issue. I know where our leadership team stands on this. We did a survey a couple of years ago, and we were pretty much split right down the middle. It was 50.2% to be progressive and to stay within the Methodist movement. So we'll see. We've already had a huge amount of people leave for a couple of reasons. One, that this is even a topic that we're discussing in church, and they don't think that we should even be talking about it. So people have left because of that. We've had people leave because we continue to stay on the conservative path and not allowing pastors to do what they feel called by God to do. So we've had people leave from that. We've had people leave just because they don't feel that churches should split. So, we've had a good number. I mean, it's like 40 people that have left since all of this has began. People will leave regardless of our decision, whether we want to stay within the Methodist, post-separation Methodist movement, or whether we want to be in a more conservative, or whether we want to be an independent group. We will make those decisions at the appropriate time. But again, we have to wait for General Conference to give us guidance on that. So I'm asking for your prayers that one, General Conference will be held, and so we can have some answers to our questions. And two, to ask God for guidance as to what we feel we should do as a community. Grantling's a pretty conservative area. Your pastor is not. But you will make that decision. I personally do not have a vote within this church. I vote at annual conference for our conference materials. So it will be up to you guys. And your membership gives you the ability and the privilege to vote for this. So I just ask that you pray for God to guide you in whatever way God may. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. I don't want to take up a ton of time, but yeah, we're going to split. What it means for us is we're going to have to make that decision sooner or later. Hopefully, General Conference will give us the answers in August, and we can begin to make those decisions as to which way we go. I hope that answers your question, Linda. I will see you again. This is the only one for this week, but we'll do it a couple times next week. I guess some really good questions coming in. But feel free to send more, and this is going to be fun, it's going to be informative, and it gives you an opportunity to answer those questions that have always lingered in your mind, I think. So send them in, and we'll get back to you. Thanks a lot. God bless everybody. Have a good day.